Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are embarking on a truly unique, dual-focus journey. We're bridging the rapidly expanding digital future of artificial intelligence with the ancient, towering physical wonders of the Himalayas. It's a pretty wild mix, right? But it's designed specifically for those of you who really want clear, structured knowledge that spans both the digital and physical realms. So here's our agenda for today. We'll start by mapping out the future of AI learning, and then pivot to a geographic exploration of the outer Himalayas, discovering the duns, the Provençal Hills, and finally, their deep river and forest ecosystems. Let's kick things off with Part 1, the future of AI learning, where we're mapping out a massive 300-part curriculum. Now, this curriculum is ambitious. We're talking 200 to 300 daily parts covering all the practical tools, video creation, prompt writing, and figuring out which apps are actually free versus paid. But, the true value here is how it breaks down AI fundamentals. For instance, in Phase 1, Part 10, we dive into the input processing output cycle using a really great analogy. Imagine a student sitting in a massive library. The data is literally all the books and information the AI learns from. Training is that rigorous study process. It's the computer intensely looking for underlying patterns in those books. And finally, the model, well, that's the resulting digital brain that can actually solve tasks for you. And the crazy part is, the more data that AI consumes, the more parameters, think of those as complex neural connections, it builds. That's exactly what makes the final model incredibly smart and adaptable. Okay, going from mapping deep neural networks to mapping deep geographic valleys might seem like a pretty massive leap, but honestly, both just require understanding huge, complex structures. So let's transition our focus away from the digital world and step straight into the physical world to apply that exact same analytical lens to our geography studies. Moving right along to Part 2, the Outer Himalayas, which happens to be Part 6 of our ongoing geography study. So, when we look at the Shivalik Range, we're actually looking at the newest geological addition to the Himalayas. These peaks might look ancient to the human eye, for sure, but in geological time, they were actually formed most recently, sitting right out there at the outermost southern edge. Just picture the Himalayas as a series of massive, slow-motion ripples in the Earth's crust. The Shivalik is basically that final outermost ripple. And because of this relatively recent geological formation, its foothills create this highly distinct terrain. In fact, it runs right along a huge portion of the modern border between India and Nepal. Which brings us to Part 3, discovering the duns, those incredible valleys of the Himalayas. You see, mountains aren't just solid walls of rock. The intricate, carved-out spaces between them are honestly just as vital. Duns are these special longitudinal valleys sandwiched tightly between the Lesser Himalaya and that newly formed Shivalik Range we literally just talked about. And because these longitudinal pockets offer relatively flat, sheltered land in an area that's otherwise completely dominated by steep peaks, they naturally become huge hubs for human settlement. Some really famous examples you might know are Kotli Dun, and of course Dehradun, which is an incredibly vibrant, bustling city nestled perfectly right inside one of these geological formations. Let's keep moving east to Part 4, the Provençal Hills, exploring India's eastern boundary. This is where things get really wild. For thousands of miles, the massive Himalayan range travels predictably towards the northeast, but then there's this spectacular geological shift. The entire mountain range just takes a sharp, dramatic turn directly to the south, which effectively creates the natural eastern border of India. It's like a giant geographical wall. This sudden southern bend is collectively known as the Provençal Hills. If you look at the northern section of this bend, it's defined by the Podkai Bum and the Naga Hills. And then, as you trace that border further down south, the terrain naturally transitions right into the Manipur Hills and the Mizo Hills, which, by the way, are also commonly known as the Lushai Hills. Now, for our final segment today, Part 5, Rivers and Deep Forests, focusing on the ecology of Provençal. Geography isn't just about rocks and borders, right? It totally dictates how life flourishes. Located right near the Myanmar border, the specific climate and terrain of the Provençal Hills create these unbelievably dense, lush forests. But beyond their intense biological diversity, these hills actually serve a massive, kind of hidden ecological purpose. They act as an absolutely crucial water divide.
And this water divide is literally monumental. The Port Provincial Hills stand as a massive natural barrier between two incredibly powerful river systems. On one side, you've got the mighty Brahmaputra River, and over on the other, the expansive Irrawaddy River. The sheer elevation of these hills dictates exactly where that water flows, which in turn completely shapes the agriculture and the daily lives of millions of people on both sides. So, from understanding how vast amounts of data train the digital brains of AI models, to tracing how ancient stone shapes the mighty river systems of the East, we have covered some incredible ground today. Both the digital and physical worlds are totally driven by these deep underlying structures. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. Knowing how dramatically these hidden structures shape our everyday reality, what incredible underlying patterns do you think we'll uncover next time in Part 7? Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next explainer.